No one is talking about this with the Buccaneers after a dominating win against the Saints in Week 8. The Buccaneers are now heading into their bye, finally trying to get healthy, but the defense has some really exceptional things that we have to talk about because they have been playing a very underrated part of this team's success. By the way, has anyone heard that whistle yet? Because I sure haven't. I'm going to be starting to get real salty about the refs. You could see me crashing out on the stream from yesterday, but happy Victory Monday to all Bucs fans sitting comfortably at the top of the NFC South where we've been for a long time now. Very happy to be like our guys are getting a chance to rest this week, the next 2 weeks really, and just kind of getting back feeling a bit better because man we were banged up going through that these past few weeks and you know how it is. Anyway, subscribe, like, comment, join Bucs Digest. We are trying to make our way to 3,000 and then to 5,000, obviously. Very happy with how the streams have been going so far. The Bucs team, very successful. They are tied for their best start in franchise history through the first 8 weeks at 6-2. So not too much to complain in that sense. We are winning games. And we just got to keep it going. The next stretch of games after the bye week is quite the handful. Patriots, Bills, Rams, not going to be easy. So it is the perfect time. The bye could not have come at a better time to get healthy and just get situated and start figuring things out because there's a lot to figure out. But I want this to be a very positive video because yesterday, listen, the offense did not play very well. It hasn't played well in a few weeks. Baker MVP talks, that's out the window right now. No one's really even talking about that anymore. But there's talks about is he injured? There's stuff going on there. We'll have another video to discuss that. But today I really want to focus on the defense because they just continue to perform very well. I actually believe this is a championship caliber defense. Now we have all talked about the fact that our pass rush still is a bit light. It's not causing the disruption that feels like it could elevate this team to elite status. But man, there was a particular performance that really, I think shocked everybody because Hassan Reddick is out with an ankle sprain, and also another injury. I think his knee is sore. But anyway, we'll see how long it takes for him to get back. But in the meantime, Anthony Nelson came in, stepped up, and put in a heck of a performance yesterday. Adam Slyman from Pewter Report had to say, overall, Nelson finished the game with 4 total tackles, a pick 6, a forced fumble, and 1.5 sacks. Put it all together, and he did something no NFL player has done since September of 2023 in the first half alone. He made the most of his chance at more snaps and obviously should receive more playing time post-bye week. Anthony Nelson, when talking about his pick 6, said, I hit the ball up, and I guess I don't really remember what happened. I just remember getting in the end zone. And that's the most important part is that, Nelson really took advantage of his opportunity here. And he feels like, every time we need him to step up and make a play, we have. I think vibes are pretty down in the game after we got stuffed on the goal line. And, the Saints got themselves out of safety territory. But right after that, the play of the day, one of the plays of the week and the year, Nelson bats the ball up, intercepts it, then stiff arms Rattler into the ground and walks into the end zone with an awesome celebration, dunking, the football into a Vita Vea hoop. I mean, just the whole thing was electric. Awesome to see. The Bucs again. I think this is our 4th straight win in New Orleans, but we are looking to sweep New Orleans for the 2nd year in a row. Something we have not done for a long time, and we've swept them in the past in several different years, but twice in a row would be very nice. I don't care how bad they've been. I just want to keep beating them. It's just personal hatred. I know a lot of Bucs fans feel the same way about the Saints. They don't have to feel the same way about us. We don't care. It's a very uncomplicated hate towards the Saints. But anyway, it's just a really awesome performance from Anthony Nelson that I really can't say enough about. This tweet here was like, yeah, he is your defensive player of the week. I could not agree more. He just really had, when you have a performance that hasn't been done in a couple years, that's typically going to earn you those honors. So I would be surprised if he doesn't earn that. Now, the other aspect that I want to talk about. I mean, yes, we held them to 3 points. I think this should have been a shutout performance because of a certain situation that happened where a fumble return for a touchdown by Antoine Winfield was called back by what Todd Bowles referred to as an erroneous whistle. That's what was told to Todd, and that's how he explained it to the reporters after the game. And he has mentioned that he is not happy about how that went down. I don't think any Bucs fans are. There's a lot of articles being written about it. It's a very bad look for the NFL because I'm surprised they did this. The broadcast played the play back to like see if a whistle was called on that play. The sound was like amplified. There was no whistle. You couldn't hear a whistle. They couldn't name the ref who blew the whistle. It was just straight up. The ref said, we're bringing it back. And even though everybody let the play go as if no whistle was called because there wasn't one. And there's just a lot of questions going on. It's a really bad look. The Bucs should have had at least 2 defensive touchdowns, if not 3. There was also another Antoine interception where you very much could argue he was not down when he had got control of that ball. He was not touched. He got up and ran into the end zone. But to be fair, they did call a whistle on that play, even though it shouldn't have been called. But at the same time, at least a whistle was called on that play. So that's just kind of how it goes. Anyway, it just a really frustrating situation just in general. I think that Antoine had a sensational performance along with Anthony Nelson. And if he had those 2 defensive touchdowns, he would be the defensive player of the week. But it's really good to see Antoine coming back to play like himself. Obviously, last year wasn't what he wanted just with the injuries that he was dealing with and stuff. But this looks like the Antoine that we've all been expecting. And we saw a couple years ago with his first team All-Pro season. He's one of the best safeties in the league, and he's going to continue playing like this. He is already he's a veteran now. He's a captain and just one of the best Buccaneers that we've had. So anyway, I love everything he's doing. He's setting the tone, setting the attitude, and just constantly makes plays. And so those 2 guys, great stuff. And then interestingly enough, the Buccaneers are 3rd in sacks in the entire NFL right now, that's a stat I did not expect at all. Todd Bowles on the Bucs having 25 sacks, which nobody having more than 4. That being so, like, no single player on the Buccaneers has more than 4 sacks. He says, I like that we're getting home. It doesn't matter where they come from. If one guy has 40, everybody else has none. I'm happy for that. It's just a matter of if we're getting sacks in general. This is a great attitude to have, in my opinion, that, like, listen, we don't care where it's coming from. It's as long as we're getting production. If we're making plays, that's what matters. And so it's interesting. I know people are like still frustrated about the pass rush and just the lack of maybe consistency from one player. But at the same time, this defense is still doing a lot. It's causing a lot of disruption. Teams aren't like blowing us out of the water in scoring wise. Besides, the Seahawks game, which was a shootout. I mean, they did well in the first half, just the second half. But it's important to note, like, most of the performances this year have been very good defensively. I think the Lions game, people be like, oh, the Buccaneers got destroyed. I think that was much more of an offensive letdown than a defensive letdown. I think the defense, they caused several turnovers in that game. They got several stops, and we were getting screwed over by the refs in that game. With giving the Lions good field position, the Buccaneers defense was able to actually bail the team out of those situations. So I actually think that they did really, really well in that game. And I wouldn't mind seeing the Lions again. I mean, obviously it'd be a scary game in the playoffs, but I do think that we can beat them. Especially when like Baker and there's the rest of the team, especially offensively, gets healthier. So it's interesting. The Todd Bowles was mentioning in his press conference this morning that he is considering, the entire staff is considering maybe doing a trade if the value makes sense, but they just have to look into everything there. We'll see what happens. We've talked about a lot of different candidates. We'll probably talk about some more as we get closer to the trade deadline. We're getting very close, November 4th. So anyway, I'm glad they're at least considering it and saying, no, we're not interested. No, you are a contending team. You should be looking into all options that are available. A lot of teams are going to be sellers at the deadline. I believe the Saints will be trading at the deadline, 1-7. It's not going to cut it that this, they are in complete rebuild mode and they need to stock up on draft picks. But we're not talking about the Saints here. They are the bottom dwellers of the division. we can move on from that kind of stuff. We are on bigger goals now. But I do want to talk about the fact, and I really want this video to be shouting out Todd Bowles in general. Greg Allman said that yes, Bucs have only 5 turnovers in 8 games. That being the offense, they have only committed 5 turnovers. That's the fewest in the team's 50-year history through 8 games. The 3 seasons with the fewest turnovers ever for the Bucs have all come in the last 4 seasons with Todd Bowles as the coach. He is really emphasizing not turning over the ball. I think that he has done a great job of making sure. I mean, maybe the Bucs aren't forcing as many turnovers as we'd like, even though I think they've actually done a pretty good job in the last few weeks. But offensively, I think they're protecting the ball really, really well. Whoever we have as offensive coordinator, they've been emphasizing just a way to make plays without turning it over. Now, it's interesting because Baker did have the most interceptions last year, and yet we still have, like, that's probably the one exception to the 3 seasons of the fewest turnovers. But 3, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, in this season so far, the fewest turnovers in Buccaneers history in the 50 years. So I think that Bowles really does not get enough credit for the things that he's doing right. I know people have criticisms about his timeout usage, about, sometimes his play calling, or just like maybe being too aggressive, not too aggressive on blitz calls. Defensively, maybe some inconsistencies, but overall, I really do think this is some of the best play that the defense has played, considering the personnel that they've been working with, the injuries, all that good stuff. I just really think that Todd is pushing, the boundaries to make himself known as one of the top 10 coaches in the league right now. And I think that's a very fair assessment. He's getting, he feels comfortable in the culture that we've gone. I think he earned that extension along with Jason Licht, obviously. I really just want there to be more positive conversations in the Buccaneers community around Todd. I mean, look at just some of the coaches that we had to deal with in the past that really it felt like they had no idea what they were doing. They were in over their head. Maybe they were good coordinators, but they weren't good head coaches. And sometimes people were thinking, is that the case with Todd Bowles? Is he a good defensive coordinator, but not a good head coach? I think he is fully transformed into a great head coach. And listen, you can say maybe he needs to be more animated on the sideline. Maybe he needs to get in people's faces. He does seem to have a more pragmatic way of attacking a game where it's listen, I don't want to get a penalty against my team. I don't want to get in the face of a ref if it's going to cost my team 15 yards, stuff like that. And I understand, and it seems like the team really resonates with the fact that Todd is more calm demeanor during the games and stuff. Sometimes he'll be frustrated. I'm seeing it more this season, more than anything else. But then when he gets really excited in the locker room, that gets the team really fired up, because it's okay, if we can get emotion out of coach, that means we're doing something right, or that means we're just doing something in general to get him fired up. And that's what I like, that aspect of their, this little bond. It's forming an identity here. It's carry a big stick calmly, or whatever it is. So I do think that this team has a lot of firepower. They have a lot of grit, resiliency, like we've been talking about, and just defensively, sneakily having the 3rd most sacks in the league. Turnover-wise, they've been really stepping it up. The young corners have been really playing well when they've been able to come in. And it seems like Parrish is, he got a oblique injury, but I think they said he's just sore. He should be okay after, the bye week. So everyone has some time to rest now. Everyone has time to work on whatever it is that they need to heal from. Like I said, we'll talk about Baker, but I just really wanted to shout out the defense. I think that all things considered, that, people could say talent-wise, personnel-wise, maybe the Bucs don't have everything going for them, but they are making the most. And I am really, really just proud of the performance that they've been putting on, because offensively we did not look good yesterday, and the defense really was they might as well have pitched a shutout. So it's gotta just give the credit to Todd Bowles when he has earned it. And we will be doing a video later this week about just what's been going on with the referees. Do you guys want a video like that? That's my question down below, because I know people are going to, I don't need to ask the question, how do you feel about the defensive performance? I know everyone's going to be yeah, no, it was good. It made the game for us. How do you guys want me to make a video talking about just the refs and how it's been affecting the Bucs season? I know that we're 6-2. Some people might say, hey, don't complain about the refs. You're winning games. You're, safely at the top of your division right now, and you're, going into a bye week trying to get healthy. Be excited about these things. And I am. Don't get me wrong. I am very excited about all these things. But at the same time, this seems to be a bigger problem this season. And it's not just for the Buccaneers, but it seems to be for teams all around the league. So the video would be concerning the Buccaneers more than anything because it really has been like almost a consistent problem that the Buccaneers have been facing with like major game changing plays that have been called back against us. So let me know if you want me to do a video on that. I'd be happy to kind of dissect it a little bit and just see what's going on there. But anyway, and we'll talk more about injury stuff, Baker, the offense. I know people want to talk about Grizzard and the play calling on the goal line. Trust me, that was not my favorite thing either. So we'll talk about that as well this week. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you're thinking, how you're feeling this Victory Monday, and enjoy the bye week. But we'll keep doing videos here as we go along. Maybe we'll do like a live stream this weekend on like an NFC South game or some kind of game that people find exciting because I really do enjoy the live streams. Anyway, until next time, I'll see you then.